Well, what is up, all of you ugnaughts and jawas? This is Mando Talk. I'm your host, Caleb Keller, and if you're watching on the YouTube, he's back. Nolan Ferris is back, the co-host. What is up, man?
Man, it's been a long time.
It has.
It's been a long time. I've been sort of busy, so but I'm back.
He is, and joined alongside
Good
him,
to see you.
the two
Thanks,
people that
guys.
kind of stepped up,
Thanks, guys.
Brandon Anderson and Jacob Keller.
Yeah, it's good to see you
Yes,
back.
sir.
I know they weren't big shoes to fill, but thanks for filling them.
They were a little
especially-
small. I actually had to
Well,
go barefoot.
yeah, right.
I mean, you're probably like a size 12 at least, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I think BA just kind of enjoyed your seat, though, last week.
Yeah, I got
For
this,
sure.
I got the spinny chair.
And it's just comfy, dude.
It's nice chairs.
It's low budget here. We got non-padded seats on this end.
I mean,
Well, we're
but I'm
looking
good.
at upgrades. We're looking
I'm
at
pretty
upgrades.
comfortable. So
I mean, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
comfortable too.
I
I've
think
got
we've shared our grievances with seating on the podcast.
I think it's like every
before.
other episode now.
Pretty much.
adjustable
anytime
mic stands. I can be wherever I want to, so it's comfortable for me.
Anytime that BA has to go back and or one week he's in the comfy chair, the next he's in the uncomfy, he lets everybody know.
So it's going to be a grumpy episdon't from my end. Just forewarning.
We're gonna get back on the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
to.
This will be the episode.
He's gonna bring it up at any point he can.
I don't think we brought it up I wasn't here 2 weeks ago, but last week I don't think I brought
Right,
it up the
because
last
you were in
Jedi.
the comfy chair. You were good to
Yep.
go.
True.
Yeah.
yeah,
We
yeah.
figured it out.
The comfy chairs are nice. We need to look into getting us a couple more comfy chairs.
We
for the
do,
studio.
but if we're gonna do that, we need some more space, man.
We do need some more space.
Anyway, all right, guys, we're glad that you're here. We're
Yes.
glad that you're listening.
Yes.
If you're on our podcasts, wherever you find podcasts,
Thanks for joining us
thanks
tonight.
for listening to our voices.
And we hope that we can give you something entertaining to listen to on your drive to work.
Absolutely. Or if you're working out, or if you're, I don't know,
Just hanging out.
hanging out
Whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
down the street,
wherever you
same
are.
old thing we
Yeah.
did last
Last
week. Let's go.
You're
Okay,
just-
not a thing to do tonight except we're going to talk about Star Wars. We're going to talk about first kind of the big three things just from this week as far as news goes. Just real quick, nothing big, nothing fancy,
Got a lot of speculation, too.
but some cool things. Now, we continued our chapter 3, we continued our season 1 of the Mandalorian Rewatch, and we just watched chapter 3, The Sin, together. And before we even get into it, I forgot how much I enjoyed this episode. Props to Deborah Chow. We'll talk more about it later.
Yes.
There's a lot to say about it.
For sure.
But it's one of our favorites. So I think you're going to get some positive vibes later in the episode when we finally get to that rewatch. We're going to continue that. Next week, remember, we are doubling up on Chapter 4 and Chapter 5, so continue to do this rewatch series with us. Now, this week in Star Wars, first thing that we're going to talk about is that Stellan Gios. I think I'm saying it correct. I mean, I don't really know exactly how to pronounce this guy's name yet.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I pronounced it in my
Stellan
mind when I read it.
Gios. Okay, so on Star Wars' social media platforms, they posted the concept art for this individual's High Republic lightsaber. What are y'all's thoughts on it? So if you haven't, while you're listening to us, if you haven't seen it, go to Star Wars. I know I saw it on their Instagram page.
Yep.
Go check out the picture. With the picture, it kind of looks like a very fancy, slicked out version of Kylo Ren.
Yes.
Yeah, so
It's
I got
very,
that kind of... Go ahead.
All right. It's a very, it's got this. So the word just popped up into my head. It's got like this righteous kind of aesthetic, like a righteous, angelic kind of.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very ornate looking, too.
Yeah, and it's a super blinging, like up to par with Mace Windu's lightsaber.
Right.
Hmm.
Do you think
Right.
it would crack y'all's top 5 lightsabers?
Ooh.
I don't think so. Not
Okay.
for me.
Oh man, we're getting back into
And
it.
see, if we're getting into looks, just strictly on looks, like we did our top 5 lightsabers,
Yeah,
it would be up there.
it's up there.
It would be very
Now-
much up there.
Yeah.
I think
for
we
you?
can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For me, I think I can already say that if we were talking specifically about details, this is number 1. It's got a lot going on with it.
Right.
It's got like a-
myself.
Yeah, I'll kind of flash my laptop to show everybody here at the table, at least Jacob and BA, while we're kind of talking about it. It's got like this folding kind of thing.
Yeah,
that
it does.
it stays, I guess, closed as long as the lightsaber is not engaged. But then when it becomes engaged, it widens out and becomes like a sword, basically.
That's crazy.
Where the exhaust ports for Kylo's would shoot out, but this one seems like it's doing that on purpose.
It looks more controlled.
I know with
than
Kylo, with Kylo's lightsaber, it was doing that because he couldn't get like the kyber crystal to react correctly to where it would shoot out cleanly. Correct? I believe that's correct.
That's correct.
I think that's what
Okay.
they were
That is
going
correct.
for if it wasn't it.
But it looks like Stellan's is on purpose.
Yeah.
And man, with this concept art, they go into every detail. I mean, they got like what the lightsaber sits on.
They got
His
the
little-
belt.
They got the belt.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really seen them dive into that before
Yeah.
in any lightsaber concept art that I've seen. So that's really
No.
interesting.
I've seen it in like medieval sword concept
Right.
art and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
which is what this is calling back to, I think, because it's High Republic and they're aiming for something that's more ancient
Right.
in look. I think.
so. And it pulls off that look tremendously. I'm a big fan of it.
just
I can't see anything wrong with it practically. I'm not. All right, engineer, BA.
oh, don't pull that card on me.
No, seriously, what were you gonna say though?
What I was gonna say was we get this little tease of just this one character. Imagine all of the fancy lightsabers.
Cool
like
little- yeah.
there's gonna be a whole nother top 5 list for this series.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I think there's gonna be a bunch of cross guards.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
Do you think Stellan Geo is a Jedi Master based on his intricate weaponry?
Mm-hmm. I think he is. I think he's a master.
You think so?
I would think so.
And I think there's actually info out there on him saying that he is a master. I can try to look that up real quick.
I feel like that because is it a movie series? Do we know that yet? or
So
is
High
it-
Republic is currently it's just literature canon.
Okay.
So they're going for comics, but also novels.
Gotcha.
So we'll see those. We don't have any like TV shows or movies planned currently.
Right.
But with the amount of effort that they're putting into this,
these concept arts. Yeah.
I think they really want this to hit hard and heavy, and people like it to where they're like, okay, let's make some visual stuff for this.
well, the only point I was going to add to
I
that
can
is
see that.
if it pops up as a movie or series, I feel like there's going to be a lot of Jedi Masters. Like they're just if they're going to hit
Think?
like the height of the High Republic,
Yeah.
but I could be wrong. Thoughts, guys?
I don't know, because if you think back to like the prequels, before there was a Sith, before Palpatine was, I guess, ousted, like known about, there were only a handful of Jedi Masters.
True.
Okay, so let me share this detail. I'm on Wikipedia, so that's usually where I go for like quick Star Wars info. First of all, as soon as I pull it up, it says, warning, this page contains major spoilers from a recently released or soon-to-be released product. Caution is advised. So if you're wanting to know Stellan Gios's background going into the books completely fresh, skip ahead about 30 seconds. Stellan Gios was a human male Jedi Master who was part of the Jedi Order during the High Republic era. He has a Padawan, Vernistra Ruach. I don't know how to say that. And let's see here. Anything else important? He was a Padawan of Master Rana Kant. Don't know who that is either. But there's a little information about him. So he is currently a master whenever we're going to pick up on his story.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
interesting character. Don't know any of those any of those individuals that we
Yeah.
just listed.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see more. But when I saw that lightsaber, I was very intrigued.
This is the
Yeah.
right direction for Star Wars, as far as staying completely away from the Skywalkers.
There you go. However, do you think because they did release the Yoda concept art for High Republic, do you think that
Is that Yoda?
yes, like they confirmed that part?
I don't think
But-
they'll get into that.
But are you okay with them doing
Yes.
Yoda? So is Yoda far enough
as
away
long
from
as
the
it's not
Skywalkers
nobody's
for you?
kin to Skywalker.
Okay, so that's
Like
just,
I would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
okay with
So-
seeing Padawan Qui-Gon.
okay. So you're okay with connections to the Skywalker saga. You just don't want Skywalker blood.
Yeah.
No. Right. That's
Or
correct.
Gotcha.
That's correct. That's
Palpatine
correct.
blood necessarily.
Palpatine blood too. I kind of agree with that. But I
But like,
think,
I would be okay, like, towards the end of it. You know, you see
Right.
Padawan, Qui-Gon, or, like, when Yoda becomes a master.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if he's going to be a master in this series or whatever it may be. But when he becomes a master and everything, you know, Qui-Gon was Yoda's Padawan.
Right.
It would be
Yep.
cool to see, like, a teenager Qui-Gon.
I think it would. I mean, obviously, I think Endgame of High Republic would have to be
Ooh.
to set up the
Or
prequels.
a Padawan, Count Dooku.
Oh,
Oh, no
yeah.
doubt. That'd be really
Yeah.
cool. Because I would like to see Dooku just on the light side.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool representation.
Yeah, that would be neat.
So, yeah, a lot of possibilities with the High Republic. And, again, we tend to do this on this show, and all Star Wars fans in general. We see one little picture and we go crazy.
That is
We just
very
go
true.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very, very true.
Okay, if we continue to move along, the next kind of thing that came out this week, Giancarlo Esposito is talking about the Mandalorian some more. It seems like every time he opens his mouth about the Mandalorian, we get a little bit more.
Mhm.
Do you think he's being told to kind of
Tease?
tease,
I think
or
don't
do
know.
you think he's just doing it for fun?
I think that he knows the line that he can't cross.
Yeah.
I think
And
he
he
might
is.
enjoy getting close to it, but not crossing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be my guess.
Okay, so here's his quote from this week. He says, I think this show is going to lay the groundwork for the depth and breadth that's going to come in season 3. So we've already had confirmation of season 3. But he also says, and season 4, where you're really going to start to get answers. So we have this thing completely mapped out for not just season 2 fixing to come out next month, but an additional 2 more seasons. So that means we got at
Wow.
least 3 more years of Mando Talk.
Just
right?
what you were saying.
Heck yeah.
Just what you were saying too. Star Wars releases these little things. That was a little statement that had like no substantial anything in it, but still we're excited
Oh,
about
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
wild
Yeah.
to think about.
That is crazy.
It's wild to think that this 1 year of doing Mando Talk has flown by.
Yeah, it
But
really has.
getting like this confirmation that we've got 3 more years of doing this, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if we're going to like each other by the end of this journey, man.
I give it about a year tops.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
I think
Nolan's kind of quiet over there. He might start having
No.
these feelings already.
I mean, I think
So
we'll
you
be
got
fine.
about a week in it.
I think we'll be fine. I think, you know, it's something we can all bond over and talk about,
No doubt.
and something we all share a passion for. So
Yeah. Now, does this quote, does it make you kind of like, I don't know, for me, again, reading into it too much, I'm thinking, well, are we going to have to wait until season 3 and 4 to get like the big answers? So is season 2 going to give us anything big? You know, that was kind of one of my reactions.
that's kind of
is that
I
just
feel that
digging
way.
too deep into it, or
I felt that way for like a split
Okay.
second.
Well, something that came into my mind is, like, for some reason, when you said season 4, it just popped up into my mind. Oh, that's where we're gonna find out where Baby Yoda came from.
Ooh, probably. That's probably like last season
Yeah.
material.
Yeah.
And we're going to get like Yoda species
Mm-hmm.
orient, like,
Probably get Din
background.
Djarin's past.
yeah. We got some more to talk about that later in our Rewatch series, I believe.
Yes.
I got something to talk about with that. But yeah, I
Oh.
mean, any other kind of thoughts on Giancarlo Esposito, again, just kind of teasing us? Other than, job well done, dude. You keep just messing with our feelings.
Yeah.
We're all still ready to go every time he's talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. I feel like. I don't know. I kind of feel like he's being told to just.
You
hey,
think so?
Say this.
I think he
Okay.
probably gets enjoyment out of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a little bit of both. A little bit of both.
Because he seems like he would be like the videos and stuff that he releases and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It would be cool to be able to work with him. I think,
Oh, yeah.
and I feel like he's that kind of guy that's gonna be lighthearted. But then, when the black cape is on and the dark saber's in hand, he's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moff.
Everything that he is in is golden to me.
Yes, yeah, very much so.
Okay, so I got you where I want you. We were talking before the show. Guess who the new main villain in this new show called The Boys is? Giancarlo Esposito. Y'all should check it out. All right, continue moving on. We got rumors of Pedro Pascal. This is some bad information, apparently. I don't know if we believe it or not. Rumors of Pedro Pascal being done with the show due to helmet frustrations. So my question, fact or fiction?
I give it about 20% valid, like validation.
Validity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Just with them
I would be
bouncing back and
disappointed
forth.
if it is true.
Yeah, I would be disappointed as well. I mean, he had to have known what he was signing up for.
Exactly.
So let me give some background to this and as to why I think it's false. Doomcock, the guy that did the whole Disney's resetting the sequels thing, the rumor, that was complete bogus. Yeah, that guy.
That was like the multiverse guy, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
So-
we're already losing credibility. This
Yeah.
is already going down.
Yeah.
Says he won't be suiting up and only doing voice-over work from here on out.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be really disappointed. What'd you say that guy's name was?
Doomcock, man.
Yeah, I would be just terribly disappointed if that was true. I don't know if I can believe, what Doomcock is saying right there.
Yeah, me either. I'm saying fiction. I believe Pedro Pascal just recently shared a picture on social media of him wearing the Mandalorian helmet and directing, like acting like he's directing the orchestra for the music. And he did that, I believe, like the same day that this rumor came out. So I think he was kind of poking fun at it.
Yeah.
So I'm not buying it at all.
I got you.
But yeah.
Yeah. You bunch of fakers, Doomcock.
All right. That is the 3 things that was going on in Star Wars this week. Let us know what you think. Comment on the YouTube video of what you think about those 3 things going on. And we are now ready to get into our Chapter 3 rewatch. So we are continuing with our Mandalorian Season 1 rewatch series. We finally get to Chapter 3, The Sin, which is one of our favorites here at Mando Talk. What's so funny, guys?
Nothing. Ready to get into this episode. I love
Yes,
episode
sir.
3.
Okay. All right, so Chapter 3. Big takeaways for me. It's a really interesting and entertaining episode from start to finish.
A lot of action.
Definitely. I think this is probably one of Din Djarin's best episodes with the stuff that happens toward the very end. But for me, I think this chapter sticks out the most because of like all of the Mandalorian culture stuff that we finally get, like the tidbits. And I think we get more of that later in the season, but this is kind of where it starts.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think
that was
this is
really
also
refreshing.
like the pivot point for Din Djarin's character, because this is where he makes the choice
to go against the guild and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
He commits the
to
sin.
save the child.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Correct.
Yep.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just pointing at it.
No, so like this is my favorite episode because, and I think when we did our review, what was it, the season 1 review last season?
Yeah.
At the end of it, when we ranked the episodes, this one was, I don't know if it was my number 1 or if, I know it was in my top 3.
Yeah.
And the reason is because we finally start to see some, we see some of the, we see some of his past, but in this one we kind of get confirmation that his parents are dead, and we get more information as far as the guild goes and stuff like that, and the Jedi and the culvert and everything, and then the Mandalorians come out at the end. So
Let's say we see like a whole character arc for Din Djarin in this episode alone.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
Because he starts off making the choice to take the Beskar steel, and then he leaves. He sees the knobs missing, so he makes that transformation. We get backstory, so we get a lot jam-packed in.
Yeah, so let's talk more deeply into the Beskar steel kind of idea. So the first kind of note that I wrote down while watching this was the client when he says this quote, "Finding a Mandalorian is more difficult than finding Beskar steel." So, kind of the question that popped up into my mind when I heard that quote now for, I guess, the second time, or probably the third. I probably have watched this episode before, a couple of times before this. But it really stuck out to me. Like, it made me think, how much Beskar does the Empire still have? Because he's acting like it's really easy for him to get more Beskar, and that, I don't know. Like, what do y'all have any thoughts on that?
I didn't think about it like that, but I did think when he did say that, I don't know, because there's like a whole load of Mandalorians, but, we find out that they can only come out one at a time.
Yeah.
Well, Din Djarin's
Right.
always out.
Yeah,
So does that mean, like, none of them will get to come out ever?
that's something else that I kind of thought about, too. Like, does that mean none of the other Mandalorians are part of the guild?
Yeah, I would assume so.
Because he's the only one that we ever see out and about.
Right.
I don't know. And hopefully we get some of these questions answered in Season 2. But maybe, according to Giancarlo Esposito, we don't get them until Season 3 or 4. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
I always assumed that maybe he was the only one that got to go out so much because he had earned that privilege through his skill in combat.
Maybe. But my only argument to that would be is, like, we see at the end of this episode that he's pretty matched in skill with the heavy infantry Mandalorian.
Yeah,
And-
when they duel.
Yeah, when they get
yeah.
into it in the armorer's room.
Yeah, and he's kind of like holding a little bit resentment for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then, at the end when they come out and start battling with the bounty hunters, so I don't know. I would say they're pretty trained equally. I would say. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on as far as? I don't think that's the deciding factor as far as who gets to come out or not.
Yeah.
And maybe they can only be like one in town at a time. I don't know.
I would say that I don't think that there's a big distinction between skill level with the Mandalorians. I mean, I would hope Din Djarin stands out a little bit just because he's the main character that we're following. But I do think just from the confrontation that unfolds between the heavy infantry and Din Djarin, I think we see that they're pretty equal. So I would just kind of assume that that's the case. So I don't really think that that's what I'm with Nolan. I don't really think that that's what determines who goes out and who doesn't. But
Okay.
I mean, how many Mandalorians do you think there were? Like 20, mid-20s?
Probably.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
So, and again, the client saying that we got more Beskar, it's more difficult to find you guys, but there's literally 25 of them under his nose on that same planet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still just like, I need to know more about this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think that just that lets the audience know that he has no clue about the cover or the COVID or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
What
That's
I've
a good
always
point.
thought was
Until
that
now.
Until now.
But I've always.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, but at the end when he comes back, and then the big blow up happens with Moff Gideon and everything, and the armor is there, all those Mandalorians end up dying because of that big pile of armor. So keep that in mind as well.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob, what were you saying?
I've always thought that when he said that, there's not many Mandalorians and that it's easier to find the Beskar than it is to find a Mandalorian in these days.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought that he's referring to and that he knows a lot more about Mandalorian history than we do, right?
True.
So he knows the Mandalorian way himself. He knows what it is that they really do, and that's what's hard to find, is someone that fights as a way of life,
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And also, what I thought was interesting that I caught this time around watching was when he gave the Beskar to Din, he said, to the victors belong the spoils.
Mm-hmm.
And that when Din heard that, he knew exactly what he meant by saying that, because that Beskar was spoils of war,
Fair.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
See, I can't dig into dialogue like that to that level, so I'm glad you're here. I kind of have another kind of question right after this that's got more to do with Beskar. We see later, so Din Djarin gets that pile of Beskar from the client. He takes it to the armor. That confrontation unfolds and everything like that inside their little hideout. And Din Djarin, so instead of getting a signet, he uses excess Beskar
For the whistling birds.
for the whistling birds, but then there's also some excess that goes to the foundlings.
Yes.
So, are we going to get more detail on foundling information in Season 2? That was my next kind of... Because, again, we're trying to connect this as much to the next season as possible.
Yeah.
Is that in store for us?
Yeah, so my thing is, with that, is there's only one other Mandalorian that we know that's still alive from that. And that is the Armorer.
Okay.
So, as far as foundlings, I don't know if there are any, or if they have another, like, home base somewhere, or if any escaped at all. So, I don't know. I think that might be put on pause. I think we will see the child being raised as a foundling.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So. Yeah.
I don't think, I think he's going to try to get it back to the core somehow, or get it back to its people, like the armorer has,
Right.
She has spoken.
Yeah.
But I don't think like it'll end up happening, and the child will be raised as a foundling for the Mandalorian way.
Okay. So maybe
he'll be like the way this is.
So maybe not as much like answers about the foundling then than I'm hoping for, probably.
I just don't know, because that, like, everybody's dead except for the armor
gone.
that we know of.
Right.
Because the big pile of armor.
I see answers for what a foundling is more in flashbacks in Din's life than we will
fair.
in the present time.
And that's kind of like, again, another question that I have here in my notes. Perfect segue here. We do get our first hint at Din Djarin's childhood. So the question that I got from that, what other information do we want to know from his past? I think that's something else that we're going to get in Season 2. And I'm hoping maybe they use that as a tool to give information about what a foundling exactly is.
Yeah.
So
but I really want to know where he was
correct
during the Clone Wars, during the end of the Clone Wars, during, the Siege of Mandalore, and during,
the
Great Purge.
All
what was
the
he
above.
doing?
Select all that apply.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
So I want to know more about his training as a Mandalorian.
That's valid,
because
too.
I don't think he is a Mandalorian. And so that would kind
By
of...
blood, I agree.
By blood.
Yeah.
And I think... so he might be taken out of the Clone Wars right there if Tom is right. We don't know how old he is, but he could have been born right after the Clone Wars or whatever.
Well, we see the droids there in his flashback, so it's definitely Clone Wars, period. Clone Wars happens when those droids are activated, right? Like, that's the beginning of the Clone Wars begun they have. Like, that's Yoda's line, right? Did I mess that up?
I don't know.
I mean, other than the fact that I didn't sound like Yoda whatsoever. But, yeah, he's there for the Clone Wars. But, to your point, though, like, at what, like, level of involvement is he?
Yeah.
Well,
Because if he's not on Mandalore, then there's a chance that he's not really that affected by the Clone Wars as much as other places in the galaxy.
Unless he's part of,
well, let me ask
well,
you.
we know that the Mandalorians that pick him up have the signet of Pre Vizsla's, what are they called again?
Death Watch.
The Death Watch, yeah. So, he's somehow involved in the grand scheme of things. He somehow gets caught up in it all.
Yeah.
And this is all stuff, like, we've been talking about this for ever since it came out. We've been wanting to know more about this stuff.
Yeah. What's your question?
in season, or in the last episode when he receives his jetpack, she asked him if he's been trained on it yet, and he was like, not really, sort of, kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff I want to see, is like, because he's obviously trained on whistling birds, because he's like, boom, and they're all dead.
Yeah.
So,
that's Yeah.
What is he trained on? What other kind of tools will he obtain in season 2? Like what other kind of gadgets, and
Dude,
will he upgrade his pulse rifle?
that's another like perfect segue.
Oh, here we go. Great.
So my next thing,
It's like we've been doing this for like a year.
I know, man. Din Djarin gets his Beskar still. Now, my question for that goes perfectly with what he was just saying. Are we going to get any more armor upgrades, gear upgrades, other than the jetpack, obviously, but just anything along those lines? I think, so this is my thoughts. I think armor, he said, I mean, obviously it's Beskar, but Mandalorians do have a history of painting their armor.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
we think he's going to change his shiny look and paint it up a little bit? Kind of like Boba Fett's colors, or I mean, not saying that it's going to be the same colors, but like same idea where he paints it up.
So, BA, what do you think?
I was just saying that could be a tie to when he finds Boba Fett's armor. Maybe he kind of gets inspiration from that. Paints
Inspired.
Well, so
Yeah,
the
Van-
last
Van
thing,
Gogh, you know.
There you go.
and one of the last things we get, because he has all this armor and it's shiny, and she says, in this episode, she says, it's an eye catcher. Well,
Definitely.
he doesn't have a signet.
Yeah.
And in the last episode, he gets his signet as a mudhorn.
Mhm.
So maybe that's how he paints his
No, we
Like,
we see in the trailer.
maroonish, darkish,
some kind of
brown.
And we
to
see,
match his signet. I don't know if his signet has anything to do with the color, but I'm saying that it's a possibility that it could.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like it would happen. Did you guys ever watch like the Daredevil series that came out a few years ago?
Not enough to.
Well, it was
know.
like the first season he was just running around basically in a t-shirt
Mhm.
and like wrapped around his head like a bandana. But then like the last shot, you see him upgrade to like the Daredevil suit, like the red devil suit. I feel like
Yeah.
that could happen in this episode because in the trailer we see him with the signet on his arm and he's still got the chromy look. So
Right,
it may
true.
just be like the last thing you see, like, oh, like here's something to look forward to next season.
Yeah.
He paints up.
him decked
That's
out in
true.
a different way.
Yeah.
Other
Just a
than
thought.
whistling birds, though, I don't know of any other gear that he could attain, unless it's just another sick pulse rifle or
Yeah.
something along those lines.
See, I think like that's the only thing that's still brown that he uses.
Yeah.
Other than like his blaster is not even like, I mean, it's kind of best card out, but the pulse rifle is kind of old looking. Now it is one heck of a weapon.
Yes. Don't see any reason why he would get rid of that thing
Yeah, no.
unless he loses it or
Or it gets
destroys
destroyed.
it.
I wonder if he gets in a battle with somebody and it breaks.
This bad boy might cut it in half.
Ooh. I think that's one weapon he eventually may attain.
Yeah.
Not in season 2, though.
Oh, no.
You think he'll obtain this?
I think maybe that might be the end of the show. I think eventually he's going to get his hands on it somehow.
Yeah.
Does he might not end with it, but who knows? We'll see. But we obviously know that he's getting a jetpack. We know
Yeah.
from the trailer that we finally got to talk about last week, so go check that episode out. See
Yes.
our reaction. Hear our reaction.
But that's a good point, BA. He might get, he might confront that, blade a little bit.
yeah.
How do you think Beskar does against lightsabers and dark sabers of that kind?
Is that in the Clone Wars at all? Because I know Obi-Wan duels Pre-Vizsla at
Yeah.
one point. Is there any point where his lightsaber clashes with his
I don't remember.
armor?
I don't remember.
I don't think it did, but that's something interesting to explore.
Yeah.
Because, again, Esposito has teased that there's a battle or a duel confrontation between him and Din Djarin.
Yep.
So we might be getting that answer.
Did
in
he
this
not
season.
also say that the dark saber clashes with the lightsaber?
I think he did. I think he said
What?
something along those lines, too.
I thought he did.
And I think like that came out like the same week or two after people were like, Ahsoka's in season 2.
Yes.
I don't remember that.
But
Did
she
you
doesn't
tell
have
us
her
that?
lightsabers.
I think so.
Nuh-uh.
She doesn't have her lightsabers at this point.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, she does.
She does?
Yeah.
The white
Yeah.
ones?
Yeah.
Yes, she. So you're talking about her dropping them in the Clone Wars?
Right.
Yeah, she ends up getting like white sabers during Rebels, and I'm assuming those are still the ones that she has.
Gotcha.
I think. So yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll have a white blackish dark saber clashing with a white lightsaber. That'll be a new look. So it'll be cool to see if that is in fact true. But yeah, ton of possibilities with Din Djarin and the weapons that he uses.
As far as the strength of his armor, we have to assume that like blaster bullets and the lightsabers are like the same material, right?
See, I don't
Or
know
would
because you can deflect a blaster with a lightsaber.
But it's like two, I guess, energies they would just reflect since one's kind of contained in a. That was my thought. It was just you bring a sword to a gunfight, but in Star Wars, it's better to have a sword in a gunfight because you have that ability
Unless you're
to deflect.
Han Solo.
But just with that point, if they are the same thing, we see Mando take a shot to the shoulder in this one, and it doesn't even dent it. So
right, and we also see Grief Karga survive because of it from a blast.
From the Beskar.
Is that your last segue?
No, I still actually have a couple more things.
Which way do I need to be headed?
Okay, so we keep going, though. This is just a big point that we've already talked about that we can just go crazy with.
Yeah, I like going crazy.
Incredible action and some of Din Djarin's best moments when he was getting the child.
Yeah.
I think
when he was beating up those stormtroopers and just doing what he wanted to.
Yeah.
If you go back to my if you go back to my reaction on our original season or episode 3 watch, my favorite kill, and still to this day, is the grapple hook around the neck with the Beskar knife in the throat.
I think it was
pretty
in the
good.
chest, wasn't it?
Something.
Maybe.
It was
Regardless.
awesome. It was awesome. That guy got straight up wrecked.
Yep.
And that was the best.
And so it concludes with kind of the whistling birds, as close to Iron Man / Batman you'll ever get in Star Wars. That's what it reminds me of every time. But that's fine with me. I love both of those characters. And the episode wraps up with the Mandalorians revealing themselves. This is the way. They're allowing Din Djarin to get away and do his thing with the child. And my final thing that I had here is, are we going to see more Mandalorians in Season 2 other than Din Djarin?
I think we will. I think we'll see more of the armor.
Yes.
Eventually.
She'll be in there at some point.
Yeah.
So outside of her, though.
See, I'm still under the impression that the Mandalorians have like refugee camps on major planets. And
is this a major planet?
I mean, it could be. The guild was located there. It's important for the Mandalorians to know a lot about the galaxy.
They're in the Outer Rim, correct?
Yes.
See, I feel like they're going to be more scattered along the Outer Rim and low population towns.
Right, and when I use main planet, that might be misleading. But I mean, like, if they do go to Mon Cala, like we speculated last week,
right?
If they go to like those planets, I feel like there might be a little like covert there on that planet that he'll run into.
Do you think? Because we know we're going back to Tatooine based on the trailer. Do you think there is a covert on Tatooine?
That's a great question.
Because the huts are there, and
No,
they
they're not.
run.
No, they're not. They're dead now.
The huts are wiped out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah.
We have the Cyclops guy now.
I think, the Cyclops dude.
In the trailer, he's running like the Fight Club ring.
But to your kind of point, though, it would be really interesting if somehow we do, in fact, see that Boba Fett survived.
Yeah. But
he's rallied up a crew that follow him, and that's like the covert on Tatooine.
That would be cool.
That'd be very
That
interesting.
also poses the age old question: is Boba Fett a Mandalorian?
That's a great question.
Because if I hear Boba Fett say "this is the way,"
I'm gonna lose it.
That's crazy.
Crazy. Yeah. I don't know. So
picks up his dad's helmet rolled on the ground. This is the way, Father.
We saw in the season 2 trailer.
Dude, that would be so bad. I mean bad in a good way.
Yeah, that'd be freaking cool.
We saw in the season 2 trailer apparently that woman in the hooded robes was Sabine Wren. We know that she's a Mandalorian. But again, last week in our reaction, Jacob brought up a great question when he said, well, if that's really Sabine Wren and she's Mandalorian, why is she not in her armor?
Yeah.
So I'm still not 100% sold that that's who that is. So to kind of go back to my last question there, I'm not sure outside of Din Djarin if we're for sure going to get a Mandalorian or not.
Hmm.
Other than, well, now that you said armor, that makes sense. I think she'll be back.
Yeah, I think she will be.
So
At some point.
outside of those two, though, I still don't feel 100% confident that we're going to see others unless you're one of those in the fan base that fully believes Boba Fett's Mandalorian or not. But again, that's going down a
Let
a
us know
path
if you
I
are or
can't
not.
follow.
Let us know if you are or not. I'm interested to know what other people's thoughts are on that because
Agreed. It's very interesting.
that's not the way.
You don't
That's
think so?
not the way.
Okay.
I mean, they don't wear helmets most of the time.
Okay, so that's another interesting question, though.
We talked about it a little bit last week too. Like
Sabine Wren is full-on Mandalorian
Yeah.
by blood, but
By
she doesn't
blood.
wear her helmet ever. Or she does
In
sometimes.
Rebels.
In
yeah.
Rebels, but she doesn't wear it when she's just casually hanging out with her
Yeah.
peeps.
But
in, like,
that's all
Clone Wars, they don't
before
That's all before the Great
the
Purge.
Great Purge.
So did the Great Purge change everything? That's probably
Yeah.
a really easy way for them to answer that continuity issue. Is, the Great Purge made them change their way.
Yeah. It's either that or the helmet thing is only something for
Certain clans?
certain culverts.
Agreed. I think those are the two workarounds.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like, I'm just kind of thinking of like, the different, so going to Highland games, the different groups.
Yeah.
They're
Different clans.
Different clan, different quilts,
Yeah,
colors.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking about it like that way with the Mandalorian, where each of
And that's-
their cohorts
yeah.
have different rules.
And that's a good way to think about it because that's exactly the way Mandalorian society was before the Great Purge.
Yeah.
They had clans, and each clan had their own signet and kind of duked it out with each other
Right.
a little bit.
Like
Yeah.
the Clash of the Clans.
you got
yeah.
it. You got
So,
it.
yeah. Basic idea, yeah.
Basic, yeah. I never played that game.
I
think
did.
y'all played it you played it in high school, right?
Yeah.
I think we would be like, we would be on break or something, and you'd be playing
Clash of
that.
Clans,
and
yeah.
I would just be clueless as to what y'all were doing. I was probably being a nerd and doing my trig homework.
It was a really fun waste of time. It was.
There you go.
It was.
Well, you know what's not a fun waste of time? Listening to Mando Talk. I hope you had a great time this week listening to us.
yes. for
Those
sure.
are all of the notes that I have for our rewatch. Any other final kind of thoughts, though, on the floor about Chapter 3?
Yes.
Jacob's got the E.T. finger going on over here.
Yeah. All right, so do y'all think that it'll pop back up what they were trying to do with Baby Yoda?
Yes.
Not in this season.
Oh.
What, season 4?
Season 3.
Where we get, the big answers.
I think this season is just going to be the trials and tribulations getting him to the people he belongs to.
Okay.
Based off of the trailer, I can see that, honestly.
Yes.
Like, we're gonna
but
get-
also based
We're going to
on
get cameos along the way,
Yeah.
probably Ahsoka and everything.
But also
cameo,
on the
but-
season 1 trailer, I didn't suspect that there was going to be a Baby Yoda popping up.
Yeah.
And that changed everything. So
That's
can
right.
we really conclude that from the trailer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we get a baby Wookiee, I'm over. Like I'm over it.
You're just gonna keep throwing in babies everywhere.
Yeah.
A baby
We're-
Jar Jar.
Jar Jar, that's what I was about to say.
What were you going to say, B.A.?
Oh no, that's what I was
Ben.
gonna.
Oh, okay. Listen, I'm excited for season 2, and the more we get closer to it, it's getting even more exciting. And after watching Chapter 3, that's one of the best ones out there. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready for it to be October 30th, but we're still a full month away.
Full month.
But thank you for
Yep.
listening to the show this week. Thank you for Brandon Anderson and Jacob Keller stepping in, as always.
Thanks for having us, as always.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Good to be here.
Absolutely. Nolan Ferris, thank you for being back, man.
It's good to be
We
back.
missed your
It
voice.
really is.
We
It
miss your
really is
voice.
good to be back. If that's all we've got,
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Mando Talk. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our podcast. If you just type in Mando Talk on YouTube or all of your podcast platforms, you'll find us. We're the best.
mandotalk.weebly.com.
Come.
We have spoken.